Welcome to our show. All the good ones
are taken, aka @goat.
I'm Alex.
And I'm MK.
And this is our podcast.
Yeah!
Welcome to fall, everybody.
Woo!
This is our first spooky season episode.
Yay!
Yay!
We love fall. If you couldn't get that from our mini-sode, if you don't listen to our mini-sode, you're missing out.
You really should. They're some of our funniest content.
They're actually probably our best. And also, like, there is a surprise gift that happened in the last one that I just think you need to see.
It was hilarious. It was great. And I was shocked and I loved it.
And we are wearing matching shirts.
Woo! Because it was Macon's birthday last week.
And I had such a fun time. We were just reminiscing about how we stayed up until 6 a.m.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about your birthday weekend.
So on Friday, we had dinner with my parents. And then Saturday, Shelby took me to Meow Wolf and Grapevine, which is a really cool art installation. If you don't know of them, like, check them out. There might be one near you if you aren't in the DFW area, but it's super cool. They're all like made by local artists, but it's like a super interactive thing. And then we went to Messina Hoff Winery, which is a really cool winery, and they have one in Grapevine. But lo and behold, as we always forget, it's Grape Fest every year on my birthday. And so we went to that for a little bit, got some frosés, got a bottle of wine,
nice,
hung out, and then made it back in time to partay with my friends.
I had a great time. Personally, I had a great time. So we go to this gay club in Dallas, right? It's called Roundup Saloon. Shout out to them. I've had some of my best nights there.
I've only had fantastic nights there.
Yeah, like, first of all, we go there because the dancing is just, like, immaculate. And we're women, so, like, we feel safer. And just the men and everybody there are just such good vibes. But the thing is, like, the bartenders are so heavy-handed, like, with their drinks.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so, like, one double is basically you're getting, like, 2 in 1, essentially. Yeah. And on top of that, like, at this point in the night, I had already had so much at MK and Shelby's house that, like, by the time we pulled up to the club, I was like sloshed, like, already, completely. Because, and it was funny because, like, not only do I get weird when I'm drunk, but I also am like the corraler. Like, I have to corral everybody because, like, no one was ordering Ubers like while we were here. No one was like getting ready to go. And I was looking at the clock. I was like, it's 10:30. Like, we need to be there.
Yeah, but
like,
we were also just having such a good time.
We were having a
Shelby
good time.
was saying, like, honestly, we could have just stayed, like, playing games all night and it would have been just as fun.
It would have been just as fun. But I feel we felt the need to, like, move our bodies.
I had told you I wanted to go to the club, so you were just trying to do what I wanted, which I appreciate.
Yeah, well, I wanted to go to the club
you
too.
also
like,
did. Okay. Literally, Shelby was like, should I order us a limo? And Alexandra was like, great idea.
Yeah, no, we were, like, feeding off of each other. Like, this is how, like, slosh we were. We were having such a good time. Like, the day after, like, I woke up probably at, like, noon or something. Because, again, we stayed up to, like, 6:30 in the morning. I, like, had, like, limo services pulled up on my phone. And I was like, literally, what the fuck were we thinking? Like, ain't no way we're gonna, because, like, it was that night. And we were talking about this at, like, 10 p.m. Like, we're like, let's call it limo. And I was like, no.
And it was, so Sarah hadn't ever been to a gay bar before.
I know.
And then, so we were, like, ordering drinks, and Matthew, like, turns around and pulls out a couple dollars and was like, go put this in the male dancer to Sarah.
Stop.
And so Sarah,
where was I?
We were at the sidebar. It was the hot one.
He did let me wear his cowboy hat, and I didn't pay him. I was like, MK, look. Like,
yeah, you're like, look at what I could do.
He was super fine, though. If he ever by somehow, like, listen to this podcast, I just want to say, like, you're where you need to be, like, in life. Like, yeah, like, that is your niche. Anyway, so we're up in the club.
And Sarah just puts money into Speedo or whatever.
Sweet Sarah.
It was very sweet.
I'm so glad they came.
Me
like,
too.
Honestly, like, I was surprised that mostly everyone, like, made it. Like, I was like, you know, I'm sure we're going to lose a few folks, you know, because, like,
things happen. Yeah.
You know, things happen, whatever. It's late. But so we're up in the club, and, like, I had already had so much alcohol at this point, like, so much. Like, we had pre-gamed, obviously, at MK and Shelby's house, and, like, what's so lovely about this club in particular is like they're so like welcoming. So like half the time I'm not even with our group. Like I am off somewhere else on the dance floor, like dancing with other people. So like the people are like giving me drinks and like handing me their full like cups of alcohol, and then the sweet men at the bar, like they see me waiting for like 30 minutes because I'm a woman, and like they're not going to serve me, you know, right away because, you know, they want to.
There's a line.
You know, they're doing their thing, you know, and so they're buying me drinks, and so at this point I'm in like this like haze, like this like. I was having just a great time. Like everyone was dancing. The dancing was so good. And then we come back here and Megan's like,
well, so Shelby is dancing, like we're in the middle of the dance floor, and he's like dancing with the Uber app open, like waiting for them to like come, and we get out like at the perfect time. The four of us like walk into the Uber essentially, like it was perfect timing.
Well, we shut down the club, like the club lights came on, like they were like, it was 2 a.m. they were like, you need to go.
It was, however, an $81 Uber home.
Oh my god.
And that didn't include tip, which I still haven't tipped him. Shit. Is $5 fine to tip him?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Don't worry, I just tipped my Uber from last week.
Just MK things.
Just MK things. Yes, also, I'm rebranding to MK. Mm-hmm. And I'm not giving an explanation. I just like it.
And there we go. It sounds cool. Sounds cool. It sounds like MK Ultra, but not that crazy.
Shelby literally every time I was like, I think I want to go by MK. He's like, MK Ultra. And I'm like, well, damn it. Now I don't want to.
No, it sounds cute. Like, it sounds like MK.
But I will also still respond to Megan, probably.
Well, we're going by MK.
Yay.
Yay. So yeah, then we return to MK and Shelby's humble abode. And MK's like, let's take some more shots. At this point, it's like 3 a.m-ish. No, it was probably like 2:30.
Yeah, it felt like that was a 300-hour Uber ride home, though, I will say.
It felt like nothing to me. In fact, I don't remember the ride home.
I just was like, this is going.
Yeah. So we pull up to the humble abode, and MK's like, let's drink some more alcohol. At this point, I like cannot keep my eyes open. And for some reason, this is what I mean when I get weird when I drink alcohol. I always feel the need to like be outside. Like I feel the need to like separate myself and like seek the fresh air, right? So I sneak away, right? My shoes are gone at this point. Later we find that they're in their bathroom, but I'm outside barefoot at this point. Everybody's in the kitchen, like just chatting, like having a time or whatever. And I'm peering at them through the window. In the darkness.
And everyone keeps being like, oh, there's Alex. And I was like, where is she? Like,
so like, I don't know. I just found such enjoyment from like being so freaking creepy and like in the window. And then Megan would like come outside and then they would be like, look, there she is. And I would like duck down. And then like Megan would come outside and like be like, Alex. And I would like run like to the other side of the house so that she could hear me. So I'm barefoot, drunk, just like running around in the night like a gremlin, like peering on my friends from the darkness. And I literally stand up there for like 4 hours, like seriously 4 hours I am outside. And like at one point I'm told it's like 4:30 in the morning or whatever. And I'm still outside just like chatting or whatever. The cat's out there. And then we come inside for the first time in like 4 hours and it's like suddenly 6 a.m. And I'm like, what the hell
how'd that happen? So, had a great time.
Had an excellent time.
Let's do it again. Yeah. And I texted our friends like after we finally recovered and I was like, so next weekend,
and
what are we doing?
Absolutely fucking. I need a breather. Like I don't know. I'm like, first of all, we're not even that old, but I'm like 25 now. Megan's 27. And like, I just can't be doing what I used to be doing like back in the day. Like, I just can't go as hard.
I was actually just talking to Shelby about this because I feel like now that I'm 27, like I'm officially in my late 20s, I'm like, I missed out on those like crazy college nights. And now I'm like,
you want to like,
I have to do it now
those? Oh,
because
God.
I can't do it in my 30s.
Why can't you do it in your 30s?
I don't know.
Okay.
They just say you can't.
I say, fuck that.
Facts. But I hear, Alex, that you have a new job.
Yes. I was recently hired as a bartender.
So exciting. Yay.
I am now employed again.
Congrats.
Yay. So I'll be serving up the drinks. It'll be fun. I wanted like a change in what I was doing, and like I feel like this will give me the flexibility to like do what I want to do in my free time, but also like make money. And I don't know. I feel like I'd be a good bartender.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I was saying we need to get all of our friends and go bother Alex while she works.
Yeah, I agree. 18% is included already, so I do deeply agree. So yay. Anything else? Anything else going on?
I don't know. I've been reading some good books.
Yeah. Do tell.
We actually were talking about this at my party. I've been reading the Salacious Players Club series, and it's kind of like a BDSM. There's some like age gap, like, but they're all very like sweet. Like they're not like they're Ice Planet Barbarian kind. Like, you know, like it's like all like I'm not a dark romance person. Yeah. I'm very scared of that. I haven't tried one, but I'm scared of it.
I think you have to like you'd have to find the right one
to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
those are hard.
They're very cute, and I have a great time reading them. And the next one is coming out for like my favorite character in October this month. Yay. So I'm really excited for that. And those are great. And of course, continuing with Ice Planet Barbarians. And I'm also reading, I hadn't ever read anything by Megan Quinn before, but I'm reading one of her series now. It's like the Kane brothers or something, but they're like billionaires. And
you know, I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, and
maybe Jade's read it.
Probably. They're on Kindle Unlimited.
Probably.
But Shelby got me a Kindle for my birthday, so I have been just like downing all of the Kindle Unlimited shit and having a great time and loving it.
Yay! Happy birthday, Megan.
Thank you. Have you been reading anything fun?
Yeah, I want to cover it in my mini-sode, so I'll save it for then. Yeah. So check that out. But it's a really good, it is more dark romance, but it's reverse harem, which is my first dabble in that.
Oh, and really? That's a very intense one.
I've deeply enjoyed it.
No, I love a reverse harem.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. I will say, like, the biggest problem I have with it, and it's really the only problem, is like, why are our authors and like content creators like creating this content about like, and I'm not even just talking about books, like I'm talking about like anime, like that's a big problem in anime and like other like forms of media, is like, why are they in high school? Why are you writing it in high school?
That is very weird.
These people are like in the book, and I'll talk about it later, but they're like these children literally who are like 17 and 18 years old, and like they're running this corporate mafia business, and like they're also doing this like reverse harem thing. And I was like, at 17, like I was like going to school. I was worried about like what my hair looked like. Like I wasn't doing all that. So why are they in high school? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Make them like college seniors or something.
Yeah, like, you know. Yeah. Anyway, that was my only thing. But that's what I'm reading right now. So yeah,
very fun.
New job, reading some things on the side that I'll talk about later in the mini-sode. And yeah, feeling good. So.
Yeah, we're very excited. This month is kind of all fall Halloween themed, if you can't tell. So this is our first kind of like, we're stepping into it with a little mystery thriller action.
Whoop, whoop.
And you'll see our next couple picks are also the same kind of fall vibe.
Ow! That's my werewolf.
All right, so moving into our book selection. For this episode.
Week's book.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Okay. All right, so moving on to this week's book, here's a fun little quote that we chose. As the words leave her mouth, Josie feels the gnawing sense of grief that she has experienced for most of her life rush through her. She's never found anything to pen the feeling to before. She never knew what it meant, but now she knows what it means. It means she's wrong, that everything, literally everything about her life is wrong, and she's running out of time to make herself right.
Yeah.
Eek.
That's a good one.
This week's book is None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell.
Woo! All right, so here is the one sentence synopsis. A creepy nobody tries to infiltrate a put-together woman's life, and no one knows the truth.
Ooh.
Spooky. And then this is what ChatGPT came out with. An enigmatic stranger attempts to infiltrate the meticulously constructed life of a confident woman, concealing the truth from everyone. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. And then this is what Goodreads has to say. Lisa Jewell returns with a scintillating new psychological thriller about a woman who finds herself the subject of her own popular true crime podcast, which is perfect for us because this is a podcast.
Yeah.
We're reading a book about a podcast.
Very fun. Very meta.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So here's the summary from Goodreads. Celebrating her 45th birthday at her local pub, popular podcaster Alex Summers crosses path with an unassuming woman called Josie Fair. Josie, it turns out, is also celebrating her 45th birthday. They are, in fact, birthday twins. A few days later, Alex and Josie bump into each other again, this time outside Alex's children's school. Josie has been listening to Alex's podcast and thinks she might be an interesting subject for her series. She is, she tells Alex, on the cusp of great changes in her life. Josie's life appears to be strange and complicated, and although Alex finds her unsettling, she can't quite resist the temptation to keep making the podcast. Slowly, she starts to realize that Josie has been hiding some very dark secrets, and before she knows it, Josie has inveigled her way into Alex's life and into her home. But as quickly as she arrived, Josie disappears. Only then does Alex discover that Josie has left a terrible and terrifying legacy in her wake, and that Alex has become the subject of her own true crime podcast, with her life and her family's lives under mortal threat. Who is Josie Fair, and what has she done?
Ooh. I love that one of the characters named Alex, but it's spelled differently than mine.
I love it. It's so British.
Alex. Yeah. Anyway.
Alex with an I.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. So None of This Is True was published on August 8th, 2023. So quite recent, actually, which is surprising now that I think about like how many reviews they have on Goodreads. Like that was crazy. And it has 4.25 stars according to Goodreads. So let's just say my expectations were very high for this
Very
book.
high.
They're very, very high for this book. So Lisa Jewell is a white British woman who was born in London in 1968. Her first novel, Ralph's Party, was the best-selling debut novel of 1999. Since then, she has written another 20 novels, most recently a number of dark psychological thrillers, including The Girls, Then She Was Gone, The Family Upstairs, and The Night She Disappeared. Lisa is a New York Times and Sunday Times #1 best-selling author who has been published worldwide in over 25 languages. She lives in North London with her husband, 2 teenage daughters, and the best dog in the world. So let's dive into it, MK. What you got?
Oh, man.
Yeah, oh, man is right.
Oh, man.
We've had a tough time with thrillers.
Yeah.
On this podcast.
We're O for O.
We're O for O. Which, granted, like, thriller is a very hard genre.
It is a hard genre.
To write, right? Because a lot of people are out here, like, they're obsessed with true crime, for one. But they're also, like, trying to get a step ahead of the game. Like, well, what's the ending going to be? Like, they're trying to figure out in their mind as you're writing it. And we've kind of gotten to a point in time where, like, there's such few, like, original content of, like, thriller and, like, what can really be, like, a mystery type thing. So to give Lisa Jewell that credit, like, it was just unfortunate, like, for starters, the title of the book is None of This Is True. So, like,
you already know that everything's not true.
It's, like, a lie. And then, like, the story itself was good, and it did make me feel uneasy, and it did like kind of be like, ooh, like there's something creepy and unsettling and spooky going on here. But I don't know, I was just kind of like meh about the whole thing.
I thought the writing was very good and the plot itself was very good, but I was honestly just bored for most of it.
Me too.
And that was like, I'm reading a psychological thriller to be like scared or like you said,
I want to like
unsettled.
Flip through the book.
Yeah.
Like if I'm reading a thriller, like I expect to read it in a day because it's so good. Like I want to be like. So
I did like how fast paced the like chapters were. Like it was just like little sections of their lives. You know, like you didn't really ever get like a full page of someone's life. It felt like, but yeah, I mean, it was just the first half at least. I was like, oh. Why does this have 5 stars? It better have a crazy ending. And then it was a fine ending.
It did not have a crazy ending. It had a very like ending. I didn't like it.
I think the only thing that will like give this book credit is if there's a second one.
Yeah.
And I have an entire like plot idea that I think that she should use, and I hope that she is planning to do.
You know, that's a good idea because nothing's really resolved.
Nothing was resolved. It like didn't really answer anything. Like, so she's just weird. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
But like,
Alex was literally like, "You're a basic bitch."
Which I was also like, she's not.
Like, I was like, and she may be boring, she may be dull, she may be crazy. What a basic bitch.
You mean basic bitches in like normal white girl ordering like PSLs? Like, yeah. What is that? No. A normal
maybe the
white
British
girl
have a different connotation.
Maybe, but like a basic bitch isn't someone who like dresses in only all denim, you know? Like,
yeah, that yeah. That's a valid point. The denim was interesting.
I will say again, I did like the book. I didn't if we're comparing it to the It Girl story was just not there. Like, it just didn't exist. This actually had a story. It just was boring.
It did. Yeah, it had, the idea of it was very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that they had a podcast and that she was, like, delving into her own life as, like, they talked about it on the podcast, and, like, then things started getting really weird. Like, I liked it. But the ending was not stellar to me. It was not shocking. It was not, like, making me on edge enough to where I was like, okay, I gotta figure out, like, what happens next. Even The Silent Patient had more of that.
Well, and I think
to me than this.
I do think that the whole point is that you don't know what is true.
Like, who is telling the falsehoods here?
Right.
And
I will say, I gave it a whole other star for the last chapter. I will say the way that, like, Jewel, and we'll get to it, but the way that she laid it out, I really loved having her last piece of, like, she had the last word. And, like, low key, Team Josie.
Huh? What?
We'll get to it.
Girl, what?
I'm definitely not Team Alex.
I'm Team Alex.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, like, okay. I'm not really picking teams here because this was not like a, like, I'm rooting for this
everyone
character.
sucked.
Like, everyone sucked. Like, and it wasn't a story where I was, like, super invested in the characters either. Like, I was just like, okay, like, I don't know. I was just, again, I'm going to say I was just very mad for me. But
I love an underdog, and that's what Josie is.
She's a psychopath, is what she is.
She's
not a basic bitch, but she's a psychopath. A denim-wearing psychopath.
We don't know who's telling the truth.
Girl, yes, we do.
No, we don't.
They said at the end of the book, like, Josie was like, I mean, we'll get there, we'll tell y'all, but, like, she was like, yeah, this is what happened.
Yeah, but she could have been lying.
Oh my God. If there's not another second book, then this was all for naught. Like, this was for nothing.
I agree. I think, well, we'll get to it. I'll get to it at the end with my thoughts. But yeah,
go for it.
So we start the book out with a man drunkenly walking away, and he has, like, double vision. I have never been so drunk where I have double vision.
I'm seeing double vision. No, I just pass out.
Yeah. So he's walking away from a hotel into a car where he is expecting his wife to be. He was told that that's his wife, but it's someone else. And he's like, what? I thought you were gone. And he turns back and sees, like, quote, the girl leaving too. And the woman in the car encourages him to drink water, and he gets in the car, and I just assumed that he was, like, poisoned from the water. I don't even know anything. I'm just assuming this man was poisoned.
Okay.
Did you not assume that? Oh, immediately I was like, poison.
I wasn't really thinking anything at this point. Like, I was like,
it was obviously a page,
this is someone's husband. Like, obviously this scene is being set up to, like, he's cheating on whoever with this whoever, and this is the, like, climax of, like, what's about to come, essentially. That's all I was thinking.
Oh, well. Okay, so part 1 opens up with the trailer for Hi, I'm Your Birthday Twin, Netflix documentary, and the intro of the series. I really liked the incorporation of the documentary and the podcast snippets. Like, I thought that was the only compelling part for the, like, first half of the book.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I thought that was really creative, to Jewel's credit. Like, I was like, wow, this is interesting, because I could see it playing out as
Absolutely.
like a Netflix episode, like, in my head. Like, I was like, oh yeah, like, I would watch it.
Yeah. And it was interesting. And then it also sounds like plausible. Like, someone would have a podcast and turn into a, like, documentary.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So it's broken out into like days. So like we start Saturday, June 8th and go through pretty much like every day. And I'm just not gonna like break that down. It's fine. You've probably read it. So Josie has a much older husband. That's kind of all we know. And she has 2 kids and just generally seems to be uncomfortable about life. And at the restaurant, she's like dumbfounded by all these beautiful people celebrating another birthday girl. And she sees the birthday girl go to the restroom. So she like follows her and she's like, hey, it's my birthday too. And they find out that they're born on the same day in the same hospital. And I thought this plot line was going to be a lot more in depth. Like, I thought it was going to be some kind of like switched at birth,
Yeah,
or like adopted sister. Like, I just thought there was going to be something there.
Well, Alex even mentions that later.
Exactly.
Like, what if I was like, this was supposed to be my parents and like
Yeah.
we were swapped or whatever. So it's interesting that Jewel didn't like go anywhere else with that. I guess that would have been like if she had, unless she did it like amazingly, then I would have been like, okay, well that's kind of like a bored out trope. But maybe I'm just being a hater for thrillers currently.
Again, maybe we are. But I also, again, like if she comes out with the second one and there's like that line, I'll be here for it. Mm-hmm. I just felt like this was like honestly foreplay for a thriller.
I hope so. I truly do hope that she comes out with a second book because it would make sense, right?
Yeah.
Because of like, as we will talk about later, like Pat being Josie's mom and how she was so disappointed in Josie that she wasn't like this stellar child and like. And then we have Alex, like basically the complete reverse of Josie. Mm-hmm. It would be crazy if that was actually like Pat's lineage and like whatever. She could go a couple different ways with it, but I think it would be interesting to play out.
Yeah, but I do think it said that she looked like her sisters. Maybe not.
Alex?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
But I could also see, I don't know, maybe like Pat like stealing Josie. I don't know. I just was disappointed that there wasn't anything to it, and I felt like there were nuggets.
Yeah.
Like, either have the nuggets or don't have the nuggets.
I agree.
To be fair, though, like, it is the single point that binds them. So, like, if they didn't have this, then what would Josie ever, like, talk to her about?
I'm sure she would have found something. I think if there was a second one, it would be interesting if there was a storyline where Josie had sought out Alex before then. Like, before they went out to dinner.
Interesting.
Because even at the beginning of the book, like Josie's like in her mind thinking like, well, I've decided to pick a different place today. Like we've never gone here before. Mm-hmm. Like we would never, Walter and I would never eat out like this or whatever. So in my mind, it would be kind of fun if Josie was like already selecting Alex for whatever reason Jewel would decide to make her do that. But if she had like kind of sought Alex out first and then decided the dinner was like the place.
Interesting. Yeah. So we continue. Josie, after she meets her, Googles Alex and finds that she has a podcast about successful women, and she's listening to specifically an episode about a woman who was in a really bad, controlling relationship and is now like the head of a beauty company. And while Googling her, she finds also that Josie's kids went to the same school as Alex's, and she's like convinced it means something, that it's fate.
Before we like continue, would you ever like walk up to someone at like their birthday and be like, hi, you're my birthday twin? Like, would you ever do that?
I wouldn't say it that way.
No, I would not. Like to wait until someone goes into the restroom and then like stand there like right next to them and be like, hi, I'm your birthday twin. I'd be like, yeah, like happy birthday. And then cut and dry, never again.
I know. It was very weird.
We wouldn't have a story if that's how it went, obviously. But I don't know. It just, I thought about that. Like, would I do that? And the answer is no. I would do it differently. Like, I'd be like, hey, it's my birthday too. Like, happy birthday. Like, would you want a drink or something? Like, I don't know.
Very weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So Josie finds Alex at her kid's school. Like, she's walking her dog and just like accidentally bumps into Alex.
No.
And asks to meet with her. Alex begrudgingly accepts, and we learn one of Josie's kids probably like changed her name or something. We're assuming she hasn't been in contact with them since she left when she was 16, and she's now 21, which makes it about 5 years ago. And we learn that the oldest stays at home and like plays video games and eats baby food.
Which is crazy. The baby food thing.
It was really crazy at first, but then I just assumed, like, when I saw that she was getting baby food, I just assumed she was autistic.
Yeah. At first I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, just because, like, it was the baby food and the addition of, like, she's, like, in her room and, like, her mom, like, won't go in, but she, like, put the fingers on the door.
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening?
Well, and also, like, later we'll get to it, is the, like, quote-unquote naughty chair.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to have a lot more to do with this story.
Yeah,
and it
same.
was just kind of, like, mentioned
Well,
once.
because, like, it was so heavily mentioned that, like, Josie would not go in there because of the stench, the stench, but, like, she could hear Aaron. Yeah, she would, like, give the food to her, and, like, I was like, something is wrong. Like, I was like, I didn't think it was going to go in the way that it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I just assumed that they, like, locked her in that naughty chair or whatever.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Because the baby food, and I was like, okay, like, she's being held against her will in there. Yeah.
And that's why she needed to clean. But no, it was just, like, nothing, essentially.
Yeah.
She's just psychotic.
Well, and it's also mentioned later that, like, not only is Aaron autistic, it's like, who was it talking? Was it Josie or was it someone else, like, talking about the podcast? But someone was mentioning that, like, they believed that because Aaron was eating baby food that she, like, wanted to, like, regress into childhood or something like that.
Oh,
who was
like,
that?
as
Was
a
that
safety?
Josie?
I don't remember.
Okay,
yeah.
Someone was mentioning that. Anyway.
Yeah, very weird. So we cut to Netflix documentary interviewing Josie's neighbor, and we learn, you know, Josie's always wearing denim, as we mentioned, which odd choice. Because it's not even, like, comfortable. Like, I could understand if it was for, like, an autistic reason or, like, you know, sensory reason, but it's, like, denim's not a comfortable
No, it's not a comfortable fabric. It's not, like, everyday wear. Like, unless you're, like,
Britney Spears,
I don't know,
in
a
the 2000s.
rancher. Like we went different directions. But yeah, like, if I was to pick a fabric to wear every day and, like, decorate my home with, it would not be denim.
No.
Probably be silk.
Yeah, if it had to be something. Yeah. Anyway, back to the neighbor. She says, we used to see the girls all the time until about, like, 5 years ago, and, like, now we just don't see them at all. Alex meets Josie at the place that Josie works at, the alterations place, and Josie pitches her an idea about the podcast. Instead of interviewing someone who is successful, which is what Alex is doing currently, what about, like, following along someone who will be changing, aka Josie?
Mm-hmm.
And here's a quote. And even though Alex is slightly repelled by Josie's intensity, she's also sickeningly drawn to the idea of finding out what it is, and just asks to meet her tomorrow.
Right. So that quote right there, as with many of these stories, and as we've said many times, like, none of these characters are perfect, right? Like, although Josie is painted to be, like, the psychopath of the story and, like, the person who is, like, causing these situations that we will discuss later, we know that Alex herself has something going on in the background, because we have to ask ourselves, like, if we were in Alex's situation and, like, this woman was, like, approaching us, like, finding us at, like, our child's school and, like, presenting this idea of, like, a podcast to us and, like, just the creepy stuff that's going on, like, we have to ask ourselves, like, why are we allowing this ourselves to be, like, open to it? Like, what about this situation that's like, yeah, let me just continue to stir the pot? Because in my life, like, if I had this situation come up to me, like, immediately no, like, I'd be like, no, exactly. So, and I think Alex talks about this later on in herself, like, some things that were happening in her personal life that was, like, leading her to be more, like, susceptible to, like, these.
I don't know. It's not big enough, in my opinion. Like, her issue is not big enough for me to be like, I'm going to invite a random stranger to my home.
Yeah, I'm just saying that was her giving her reasoning for it. But I agree. Like, it's not big enough because it's giving very much, like, bored housewife.
Yeah.
Continue.
Alex agrees to the podcast, and she's actually really excited to do the podcast. So they plan to meet at Alex's studio to record for an hour, and we learn outside of Josie's opinion, like, Alex is telling the reader that her her husband Nathan will go on benders and just like not arrive until 4 the next day, not remembering anything, which not great.
Not excellent.
But also no reason to be out here being like, okay, I'm going to invite someone else to my home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's a conversation with your husband.
Yeah. Yeah. Inviting a strange woman over to do a podcast is not the answer.
No.
To that problem.
No. Okay. Josie mentioned something about CPS with Aaron. Like, it was just kind of like briefly mentioned at this point. When she was in year 6, and so I'm immediately like, he's raping the girls, the old man,
Walter.
Yeah. I'm alarmed and scared.
Well, it's because she mentions like Walter leaves her bed every night.
Yeah.
So like, where is he going?
So
clearly to, in my mind at the time, like clearly to the daughter's room.
Yeah, to rape her in her fucking naughty chair or whatever.
Exactly.
So gross.
Because like, as we know in the story at this point, like Josie was like, we assume is groomed by Walter when she was 15, 16. And then they got married like when she was 18.
Yeah.
So like, why would that not continue? Like, why would that be?
Yeah. So we learn now, like in this recording, that he was 40 years old when they met and she was 13.
And not only that, he was married with children.
Yeah. So she talks of how she like wants her youth back. And I'm like, valid if she's actually being abused. But also like at this point, I don't know what you're wanting.
Well, and like one thing in the book that I noticed is like, they never like go seek like a birth certificate. They never go seek like
interesting
proof that like either of them, I'm not even just talking about Josie, that were like actually born at the hospital. Like they only verbally discuss it. Like, this is my birthday.
Yeah. And it just like never is mentioned again.
No, because as soon as, I mean, maybe not the day that someone came up to me and was like, hey, I'm your birthday twin. Like, I'm not going to be like, okay, well, give me your birth certificate. But like, the moment that we're like doing a podcast, I'd be like, okay, well, let's
like
just
see your ID.
Let's go visit the hospital. Let's go see your ID. Like, let's go see my birth certificate. Like, it's just interesting that was never brought up.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm assuming, the mother didn't necessarily say anything, but Josie felt comfortable enough to bring her to her mom's house, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's
and
true.
Mention it.
That's true. But even in that conversation, the date is never brought up.
No, but I don't think Josie would have been dumb enough to be like,
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Or maybe she like controlled Pat. Maybe she's the controlling one.
All right. Who fucking knows?
More substance.
There's
That's what
like
I want.
I know there's no like answers really in this.
No.
Okay, so we go back to the Netflix documentary. Josie's friend from elementary school, Helen, says that she made Walter want her. Like it was a two-way street. So we're getting two different, like, is he grooming her? Is she going after him?
Okay.
Can that be a thing?
Yeah, let's just talk about that right now. So Josie's a 13-year-old girl when they meet.
Yeah.
She could not give consent, even if that's physically and actively what she was doing. Like, in a child's mind, like, you can't provide attraction to like an older gentleman.
Yeah.
It's just a no. Like, you can't. So at this point, and we'll talk about it as we go, but Walter's a very dubious character, right? Like, from the get-go. Like, we know that he was this old when he started seeing Josie. We know like stuff that happens later on, or do we know? Yeah. He's a very dubious character. It doesn't matter. Like, he's a 40-year-old man who's married, as of we know now, and he's like having this situationship, this like flirtationship with the 13-year-old girl. Like, whatever the girl is doing, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, that is a grown-ass man.
Yeah. He should know better. He has kids her age,
right.
Like, gross.
Right. And like, how dare Helen say
I know.
How dare? Because like, I don't care what happened between her and Josie. Like, I'm sure whatever Josie did to Helen was like fucked up or whatever, but
everyone says that. That's the thing. That's why I'm like half rooting for Josie, is because everyone's like, well, but it was also like, it was mainly her. Like, her mom says that.
Well, I don't like the mom. The mom is terrible.
No, yeah.
She's arguably one of the worst characters.
Yeah.
But
It's not only one person's opinion.
No, but that doesn't lend my like opinion to be like, go Josie either.
That's fair.
Okay. I'm just saying, like, as a friend, you seeing that happen, how dare you not do anything? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, God, I don't even know what I would do.
Exactly. Like, I'd be like,
I'd probably call the cops, yeah.
911. I'd tell my parents. I'd tell the teachers. I'd fucking light the whole town on fire. Like, I'd be like...
If you were 13 years old...
And this man that you know and you can actively see that your friend is, like, engaging in this relationship with... No.
Gross.
Anyway. And then for her to go on the podcast and be like, yeah, Josie's a bitch. Like,
I know. No! I was like, no.
Helen. Okay. Maybe Helen's the worst.
Maybe Helen is the worst character. She's mentioned once. All right.
And we spent like 10 minutes talking about her. Okay.
All right. Anyway, so Josie steals little things here and there. This is the first time that she steals something. She starts with an espresso pod, and, you know, she won't miss that. And then it's like a bracelet and like all these little things, hand soap, whatever. Her like explanation to herself is that it's to have some glamour in her home. And I'm like, that's real.
But she hides it in her underwear drawer.
Yeah.
Which, as we know from like true crime and like whatever other media that you get, like fictional stories of like crime and stuff, that's like a psychopath keeping like trophies.
Yeah.
That's literally what they do.
Yeah.
Like of their victims. Like they like keep their trophies. And it's disgusting. And just the fact she put them in her underwear.
Very weird. Very weird.
And like the fact that.
And she like kisses them.
Very God. I can't. Okay.
It is. It's odd.
It's odd behavior.
So Nathan doesn't come home again, and Alex texts Josie that she's excited to continue and asks to go to the estate that she grew up, you know, where she met Walter at. Nathan never arrives home. He was drunk at a friend's place and doesn't remember anything, per usual. She asks the office manager at the school, like when she's dropping off the kids, about Josie's kids, and we're told, you know, Roxy was wild and Aaron was, you know, most likely autistic. Aaron had a broken arm, and it was rumored to be Roxy who was the one who broke it, which, okay. And then when the, like, school sits them down to talk about it, the dad is said to have a temper, and the mom was just, like, blank, not responding.
Yeah, bad vibes. Red flags all around.
Oh, yeah, not good.
If you're in administration and, like, you're dealing with, like, a situation, like a family situation like that, like, you need to be doing more, because... those are all the signs of like something terrible is happening.
Horror, honestly.
Yeah.
So we go to Josie's childhood estate. We meet the mom, and literally my comment is oof. Like, just awful. Really
bad. Like the worst. Like,
so the mom says, her name's Pat. I got pregnant for a reason. I got pregnant so that I could sacrifice my ambitions and save this estate. And Alex is thinking to herself, like, this woman just loathes her daughter.
Yeah.
It's just everything she says. I'm like, oh my God. Alex asks her what she remembers about the day that she had, like, she gave birth. And she says, oh God, I try not to think about it. I was still wearing size 10 jeans. And about 4 hours later, the baby arrived. She, like, doesn't even say, like, oh, my daughter, oh, Josie. She just says, the baby.
Yeah.
In front of, like, Josie's there in front of her.
Josie's sitting there. Yeah. So it's crazy because, like, this mom literally, like, refused to acknowledge the pregnancy until it happened. Like, she was like, oh, I'm just living my life. Like, I'm not pregnant. Like, I'm wearing the same clothes I'm doing. Like, I'm living the same life. She even talks about later, like, how she was, like, submitting, an essay?
Yeah.
Like, just writing an essay in the hours where she was, like, having contractions and, like, just completely ignoring it, essentially. And then it was, like, she had to go to the hospital. Like,
it's one thing to, like, have an unwanted child, but it's another thing for the child to know that they are unwanted.
Yeah. My whole thing was why, like, I don't know, Pat had so many options. Pat had so many options that were available to her.
So many.
And she chose none of them.
Life.
Yeah, she chose none of them. So it's just interesting.
It is. And so it goes back to Alex, and she says for half an hour, Pat guides them around the estate. And the entire half hour is a running commentary from Pat about her achievements, what she did, when she did it, how hard it was for her to do, and how grateful other people were for her doing it. And she says, but it was clear to Alex that Pat is actually a raging narcissist.
Yeah.
And no child of a narcissist ever makes it out into the world unscathed. This knowledge adds nuance to her view of Josie and helps make more sense of her.
Right. Well, nothing wears me out more than like a person like Pat. Like doing good things just for the sake of saying that you did good things. It is just so gross to me, such gross behavior. And it's just like, to sit there and like literally basically like rag on your daughter in front of like her acquaintance, I guess at this point, is just ridiculous. Like, get a grip. Like, you're a grown ass woman.
Look, what kind of mother is just like, yeah, I fucking hate my kid, like essentially in front of someone?
Like, this was I regret you, like essentially, like, and then like basically giving an invisible finger to like Josie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just disgusting behavior. It's gross, nasty, nasty, nasty. I don't like it.
Very bad.
Very bad all around.
So Josie meets Nathan officially. Like, that's just kind of side note. And then we go to the Netflix recording and we're talking about Josie's 15th birthday, which is when she has her first kiss with Walter. So essentially, long story short, Walter gives her a bracelet that she's still wearing to this day. And she's like, why are you still wearing it? And she's like, because we're still together. Like, why are you being weird? Anyway, and thinking back on it, like, it kind of makes sense for Walter to have given her a gift because they were, like, he was dating her mom. You know, like, I get that. Kind of I think it's kind of a sweet gesture.
Well, I mean, maybe.
I don't know. I've never had, like, my parents are still together,
I have, and it's weird. Like, it can get weird.
If they give you a gift.
Depending on, like, I don't know, but like I remember one time my mom had a boyfriend and like I was in high school at the time and like he just was doing a little too much towards me, like a little, even to the point where my mom was like, wait a minute, like what?
Ew.
Yeah, like he would like, I remember one time he like paid for me to get my hair done and then like I mentioned, oh my God, what book was it? It was the one about cancer.
Oh, The Fault in Our Stars?
Yeah, it was when The Fault in Our Stars movie had just come out. I was like, yeah, like I really want to like get that book. And like, no joke, we went to Barnes and Noble that minute and like got the book. And like, well, no.
Okay.
It's strange. Strange.
I know, like, yeah.
It has to be like appropriate. Like,
it does, yeah. Teenagers are just such a weird time. And so maybe you are right. Maybe like a man just should never give a teenager a gift.
Well, I don't think that is, I'm not trying to say that. I'm saying that like, depending on how the relationship is with the parent and like how comfortable that family unit has become and like what the gift is.
I guess it also depends on how long they've been dating, like how involved they are like in your life. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
I saw it as like, once I realized that he was dating the mom, I was like, oh, well, it makes sense that he was giving her a gift. Like, he was trying to, like, be friendly, but I can also now see, like, oh, maybe not. Yeah. And so she goes, it's her birthday, she goes to drink with some friends at the rec center, and a boy tried flirting with her, but she wasn't interested, so she came back to her house, and her mom is like, well, you need to try harder with your friends, like, when I was 15, I wanted to take over the world. And she's like, well, I'm not going to do that drinking cider and like flirting with boys. And she's like, well, you're not going to do it here either. And so she like storms out and goes to Walter's cabin on the estate. And then he takes her to a bar and puts vodka in her lemonade or something and kisses her. And quote, it was almost as if I knew even then there was no way back. That once I'd befriended the monster, that was it for life.
I really like that quote.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. Like, I don't know. I mean, we're talking about a 15-year-old girl, right? Although she is being groomed, like, she no doubt is being groomed, and, like, this man is, like, wanting her sexually and, like, in a relationship manner. It's interesting to think that, like, even though that's true, like, she is aware of, like, what she's about to, like, step into. And I think it has something to do with, like, the fact that, like, if you have your darkness, that darkness within you, like, you can see it as well around you. Like, it's like,
if
it recognizes each other is what I'm trying to say.
Darkness sees darkness kind of thing. Yeah. And so Alex is like hearing this story and she's just like trying not to be like, you fucking married a pedophile. Like, you know that, right? You know, and so she's just kind of like, And
whoopsie, teehee.
So we learn Walter was married when they first started dating, and she didn't know for years because he stayed in a London apartment instead of with his family who live outside of London.
Yeah.
And so he would go see them on the weekends and then had his London apartment. And then his ex wouldn't let him see his kids, and it's because they like literally moved to Canada when he found out that he was marrying a
teenager.
Yeah.
As they should.
Yeah.
Get on out of there.
If that happened to me, I would never let that man see my children.
No, fuck no. Like, no. Like, immediately I'm leaving the country. Like, immediately divorce, calling 911, and we're moving across the world.
Like, restraining orders everywhere. Like,
yeah, like
never will you see your children.
No.
Yeah. And so I'm at this point where, to me, it feels like Alex is just as creepily interested in Josie as Josie is in Alex. Like, this is as we've said before, it's a two-way street. Like,
yeah.
They're all fucked, honestly.
She, like I mentioned this earlier, but, like, she has something within her that's allowing her to be, like, open to this shit.
Yeah.
So.
I thought it was really weird that she still has the same jacket from her first kiss with Walter, which was a denim jacket. And so she kind of like is thinking that this denim is her way to stay young, to quote unquote keep Walter.
Like her lucky jacket.
Yeah.
That's what she calls
very
it.
Gross.
Her lucky jacket.
All of it's gross.
It is very gross because it becomes an obsession, right? Like, not only does she keep the jacket that she wore when she was 16, but like suddenly denim is her entire wardrobe. She decorates her house with denim curtains. Like,
yeah.
It is gross to me.
Mm-hmm. And he proposes on her 16th birthday, so a year after their quote-unquote dating, and takes her virginity. Gross. He's 40. It's gross. Mm-mm. So Alex's neighbor comes by asking for, like, the spare key that they, like, you know, neighbors have spare keys sometimes. And he's in the same year as Josie's daughter Roxy, and says, you know, Alex asks about it, and he says, you know, Roxy was scary and Aaron was weird. So just a little insight to what other people thought about them. Oh, this part was so weird. They see on the Ring doorbell that Josie was like looking in their windows and like steals magazines from the recycling.
God.
Like at that point, no.
No, that point has long passed, even before this happened.
You're
like,
correct, yeah.
Oh my God. I can't imagine like looking on my camera and seeing that shit. Like, and it's just so creepy. What's so creepy about it is the fact that it's like almost so innocent. Like, she's not stealing money or like something like valuable necessarily. She's stealing like a recycled magazine from your front yard, but she's like rummaging in your garbage.
It's weird.
Oh, that gave me the chills. I was like, The fact that they said nothing to her about it.
I know.
Did she? Wait, maybe Alex did.
Maybe, but like as Nathan, who already is freaked out by her, I'd be like, can I have my magazines back?
Yeah.
Like,
well, not even that.
Weirdo.
I'd be like, what the fuck were you doing?
Yeah.
Never come to my home again.
Yeah. So like I said, Josie likes denim because it reminds her of her youth. It'll keep Walter in love with her. But she would tell her younger self to run away from him. And then Alex tells Josie about Nathan's drinking problem, his benders. And I just had this note from when I was reading, but like for some reason this like it just dawned on me that like Walter is going to sleep with Aaron. And I was like, horrifying.
Yeah. Like there are many parallels already, right? So we have two women who are the same birthday, married to men who are doing this shit in the nighttime. Like Nathan going off and binge drinking, Walter going off supposedly to Aaron's bedroom to her. And it's just interesting. And like I will say I really do like that aspect about this book is like the parallel. Like you couldn't have two different women, right, as we know from the book, but like the lives they're living are so parallel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
In different ways, but like parallel.
Yeah, I think it's also kind of this concept of like your life can take so many different paths.
Yeah.
And like you kind of can't do anything about it. once you're on the path.
Yeah.
So Josie doesn't like Nathan and doesn't think that he deserves Alex. And then in the next documentary piece, she says that she was just moving hands from like one controlling person to the next. And she feels that like Alex is kind of the same way without telling her that. She keeps sitting outside of the cafe that she thought she saw Roxy at, in hopes of seeing her again. And when she gets home, Walter calls her weird and she like can't handle that and slaps him and screams, "I fucking hate you." And he just like blinks as if like nothing happened, which
so many problems.
Bizarre.
So many bizarre behaviors.
Could you imagine like being slapped and just like not doing anything about it?
I just like I just can't fathom like living that existence. Like, no. I can't fathom being in a relationship like that. Like, I cannot.
She just had literally so many years that she could have just like left.
And that's another thing. I guess we will never know because we have never been in that situation, nor will we ever be. But
you're right. I'm saying it like you could just leave. It's a lot more complicated than that.
It is a lot more complicated because I guess like those are her formative years, like when she was first with Walter, right? So like if you've literally grown up with someone being like that role to you, I can imagine it being very hard to separate yourself from that.
You're right, yeah.
Because like if you were to leave, I can imagine being in that position being like, okay, well, who the fuck am I?
Yeah.
Without this person.
And she even like, there's a part that I highlighted that I don't think I put in the notes, but she was asked in the podcast, like Alex was like, well, what do you like? And she's like, I don't really know. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, like she literally doesn't have her own identity.
No.
Which I speaks a lot to about like what happened.
Yeah.
Later on.
So Alex runs into Pat, who's Josie's mom, and calls Walter and Josie a toxic combination. So again, like Pat's putting the blame on Josie, saying like, no, he wasn't grooming her. Like she was the one. Like it wasn't just him. Which, Alex talks to Nathan about Josie and Walter coming over for dinner, and he reluctantly agrees. Which again, no,
Nope.
Go out of the house.
Yeah.
If we're meeting strange people, out of the house.
Yeah, facts.
She texts Josie, and Josie is making Walter go to the barber, get new clothes, like, gross. Alex asks her to bring a picture of the girls, and Josie knows that she's going to tell Alex the truth about what happened with the girls. What is the truth? We don't know.
We never know.
So in the pictures, the girls are really cute in their younger pictures, but like scary in their last pictures. Like Erin's emaciated essentially, and like Roxy's just like looks like she's about to murder you. In the Netflix documentary, a chair that has the naughty chair we were talking about, it's a chair that has a similar design to the dresser in Erin's room, which is like white with like pink hearts on it. It's modified with like straps and belts. Horrifying.
Scary. Why do y'all even own that? Like,
why
did y'all make that?
Why did you make it? Who made it? Why did we make it?
Josie made it.
Gross.
Yeah, Josie made it.
Josie talks about not having a key to the flat for a while, like in their early years of them being together. So Walter would just like leave her in the house and like she couldn't leave.
Which is insane.
So yeah, she was literally like locked in the home. When he worked out of town during the week, she let the girls like be themselves, but it quote unquote changed in not a good way when he came back on the weekends. Again, don't know if that's true. She tells Walter she's going to tell Alex about the girls, and he freaks out and says they'll go to jail. He says, I'm married to a fucking nutter. And she responds saying, I'm married to a fucking pedophile. And he just is like, what?
Which, I mean, like,
she's valid. She's
facts.
right. Yeah.
Like, they said facts. It's just it's so gross. It makes me insanely uncomfortable because, like, this could be real. You know, this is obviously fiction, but this could be real. Like, these
it probably
things
is real somewhere.
Yeah, like, these things happen in real life. And that's what's so insanely uncomfortable about it, because although the thriller book itself that Jewell wrote wasn't exactly my favorite, but, like, I will say
realistic.
she did do this really well because
Yeah.
I did feel realistic. Like I was like, I could see myself like putting myself in Josie's mind or in like Walter's mind and being like living this out. And I was like, oh, holy shit. Like this shit happens. Like this could be real.
I mean, I could see a Netflix documentary on this for sure.
Yeah.
Or a podcast, you know, like I see that happening. So Alex really needs Nathan to be at this dinner and like begs him to be there on time with Josie and Walter, but he's late and then just ends up just not coming. And Josie's fucking furious about like rampant.
Relax. That is not your husband.
No.
That is not your business.
But she's mad. I get this. She's mad that Alex isn't being respected, and she sees and she sees herself in Alex. So if someone as beautiful and put together as Alex isn't being respected, like how could she possibly be?
Yeah, I'll give her some credit for that, but still, like, you need to relax.
She does. She big fat chill pill is what she needs.
Yeah.
And she loses some respect for Alex for like putting up with this. So
I don't know. I mean, at least she's not married to a pedophile. How about that, Josie?
That's a great point.
You know, so
stop.
You're putting up with
a lot worse.
You're putting up with an old man. Okay, so like, at least Nathan is of age and like decent,
not
in
creepy.
Other ways. Yeah.
The dinner is, of course, fucking weird. And she takes Walter to the studio. Alex takes Walter to the studio and asks him questions. It's not being recorded, but. You know, she asks about his first wife, who she's like, is your ex-wife really young? And he's like, no, just 10 years younger than me. Fucking, that's young. Especially when you're in your late 20s and you get married.
Yeah.
It's to a 19-year-old. Gross.
It's a little different, like, later in life. Like, if they were, like, 40s, 30s, or, like, 50s, 40s. Like, that's a bit different. But when you're, like, literal, like, teenager,
Stop getting married to teenagers.
Yeah,
no teenagers should get married.
That's enough. Yeah.
Okay. He says Josie isn't, quote, who she makes out to be, and says she's got a, quote, an elastic relationship with the truth, and that she's controlling. Alex's son, at the like after everyone leaves, Alex's son is like, Josie was standing outside the studio listening to them, and she looked, quote, really, really cross.
Which is so creepy.
Oh, creepy.
It's so creepy.
So much.
Because, like, I mean, I know I was just talking about, like, running around your backyard.
Holy shit.
I did not have the same intentions.
But you were hiding. I think I'm scared now. I think you need to leave my home.
It was definitely like unhinged behavior. It's your fault for providing me with so much alcohol.
All right, sure, I'll take the blame. You also
weren't
trying to murder my husband, so
you also weren't like talking to my pedophilic husband like outside in the shed or whatever. Like, okay. What I was gonna say was that's fucking creepy.
It is fucking creepy. Now I will never think about that night the same.
No, don't. It was wholesome.
I know it was fair. I'm poking fun at you.
Okay, good.
So they get home. Josie is like, Walter, you fucking embarrassed me. Like, you're just so embarrassing. You're so gross and old. And he's like, she's not even your friend. Like, she doesn't even like you, essentially. And he calls her weird and stupid, and she snaps, and we go to part 2. All right. So the doorbell rings at Alex's house at 3:02 a.m., and she's thinking it's Nathan, and she's pissed. She's like, why are you using the doorbell? You're waking up the children. Whatever. She goes to get it, but it's, surprise, Josie, covered in blood. She has marks on her face, and Alex, cleans her up. And Josie says she called her names, so she attacked, and he kept hitting her. And then Aaron came in, and he hit her too, and that he's done this before, but it's fine. Like, Aaron's at a friend's house now. Alex says that the police should get involved, but Josie refuses. And Josie says that, she doesn't have anyone else but Alex, so please, like, can I stay here tonight?
I don't know. It's such a hard thing. Like, because I've I know of situations where like the person who has been like victimized, like essentially like doesn't want any authority involved, like they just want to get away and like not even deal with it. So I understand that aspect, but obviously Josie is doing it for other reasons. Like she wants to be in Alex's home, like essentially. Like she's like, I'm gonna use this opportunity to like live with Alex.
So weird. And what like is the most like audacious, I don't even know if that's a word, but that's how I feel, is that Josie is like straight up blaming Nathan for Walter's actions. Like that Nathan should have known to be a better husband, to like be there. And like she's just like saying this to him in his own home, and I just,
it's really bad. Like to come in and like tell someone like, okay, you're the reason why I was beat just now is crazy.
Absurd.
Like no, babe.
Walter is the reason why you were just beat.
Yeah, like,
or you're abuser.
As we know, as we know at the time. But yeah, that's crazy behavior.
So,
and this is where it just gets going.
Yeah,
even
so
more crazy.
This, part 2 is like where it actually like finally I'm like, oh, thank God something's happening.
Yeah,
I felt like that whole first half is just like a world building. Essentially,
it was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot.
So Josie like gets herself somehow into staying with Alex until Alex's sister comes next Saturday, which is there not like a woman's shelter she could go to that like, you gotta know, like Alex knows people.
Yeah, well, she even tries telling Josie like, I know people who can help you.
Yeah,
like there are resources for you available. Like I don't know, there's like a fine line between being like a good person and like wanting to help someone and then like allowing yourself to like be like kind of run over essentially.
Yeah. So there's another Netflix documentary recording from Mandy, who's the school administrator that I think Alex talks to earlier. So she's talking about Roxy breaking a kid's finger in school, and the parents, like I said, were emotionless when they were brought in. And then we interview with Josie, and she says, you know, Walter didn't know about the finger incident because of his temper, and she says that she was a bad parent because she just like let him get away with things, let things happen to the girls. So again, we're like framing it so that like Walter's the bad guy, not that he isn't, not the bad guy.
Yeah, but in this moment, yeah.
We go back to another Netflix documentary with Erin's gaming friends. So on like her streaming platform, she's called Erased. And
which is a cool name.
It is very cool.
Yeah.
And no one knows anything about her, really just like her personal life at all. But they hear a kerfuffle the night that Josie shows up to Alex's, and Erin gets up and like, that's it. She hasn't played since then. So the whole community, you know, the gaming community is like very strong and close knit community, and at least for the most part. And the whole community steps in to help solve, and right before they do, like they solve it, the story breaks,
which is cool. I like that little tidbit in there.
Yeah. Alex thinks Josie is happy, which is horrifying.
Red
like,
flag.
She was just like physically assaulted. She's not with her daughter. Like her husband, who's a pedophile.
Yeah. Just, why, in my mind, why the hell wasn't Alex like putting it together? Like, you're saying that like not only is she acting like happy-go-lucky, but she also doesn't have a care for where Erin is at all. Like she has no, like, to me, like 911 would have been called far long before this.
Like Alex should have called 911.
No,
like,
facts. Like I'd be like, I'm sorry. Like I hear you. Like I understand why you don't want authorities involved, but like,
no, I wouldn't have
just
even
come. I'm gonna call them. They're gonna come here. If you're gonna stay in my house, they're gonna come here and they're gonna interview you. Like, sorry, that's just, we need to do this. If not for your own, like it's for your own safety. Like,
I wouldn't have even like told Josie. I would have been like, I'm calling the police. Like This is not okay behavior
No.
for anyone. No matter what the actual story is, like, this is not okay.
It's not okay and it's not normal. And, like, I just can't believe that Alex's alarm bells, like, were not going off, like, well, where's the daughter?
Yeah. Well, she asks a couple times and she's just like, well, I texted her. She's fine.
Like, she's with a friend, but, like,
no.
But, like, the fact that there was no communication, like, well, and it's the fact that Alex points out, like, in her own mind, like, that she's like, that Josie just, like, and according to Josie's story, like, they just left the house and then departed different ways on the street
at 3 a.m. No,
like, what?
And also, you can't, like, her whole story is like, I'm so sorry, Aaron, that I let him do this to you for so long. Also, like, bye. No.
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 No. No.
So we go back to the Netflix documentary. Josie is telling the story of Brooke, who is Roxy's friend. They were really close, but then they got in a big fight and Roxy hit her. The story that we are being told as of now is that Walter has been grooming Brooke. And Aaron saw them together, and so Roxy left because of it. And she hasn't been seen again. It's just weird.
I don't know.
And Alex mentions, and it also seems to the reader, that Josie wants Nathan to be just as bad as Walter.
Yeah, that's another thing. I think Josie herself sees the parallel between her and Alex immediately from the birthday, right? Yeah. But in other ways too, like with the husbands. And I feel like because Josie views her life as like this downward spiral, like from the moment she and Walter got together when she was a teenager to now, like what we understand from like her thoughts and like ramblings, honestly, is that she is like considerably unhappy in her life. Like she thinks it's just not what she wants. Right. She wants a complete 180. And that's the kind of the genesis of the whole thing, is when she listens to Alex's podcast for the first time and she hears that lady talking about a clean break, and that clean break being death, right? So that's kind of where we're heading. Yeah.
Well, surprise
in this part.
So Alex obviously wants her to leave. She knows Josie's controlling her in this way, but she also like thinks this will be a really good story and just doesn't want to give it up. So, all right. There's an interview, the Netflix documentary interview with Caitlin Rand, who grew up on the estate with Josie. And she ran into Josie, and Josie says, "Hey, look, I might have an acting gig for you," which creepy. So Alex is reeling from the fact that Aaron is most likely being molested by her father. And she just isn't, like, Josie's just not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
And also just, like, also she just isn't sure if she believes anything Josie says. So again, Josie really hates Nathan. Like, it's just so clear throughout the book. She is making plans to destroy him. And she's, like, going through his pockets in their closet and like finding hotel keys gross. Leftover cocaine and like all of the things. So in the Netflix documentary, she tells the story of what happens after dinner. In her words, this is what happens from Josie's perspective. They got into a fight. Aaron and Josie leave Walter there, and he's just like sitting there at his computer like nothing happened. Which, nope. Mm-mm. When Alex starts poking holes in her story, she gets really defensive. So she's like, well, you came out to my house at 3:02, but like you left at 10. Like, what happened?
Like, facts. Yeah, like, what were you doing in that time?
And Josie gets defensive and walks out. She's like, how dare you? Like, I thought we were friends. And she's like, no, but like, people are going to be listening to this. Like,
well, Josie was like, you asked me to tell you my story, like, and you're sitting here, like, not believing it.
Yeah.
Like,
nah.
It's not believable, girlfriend. Like, it's
make it make sense, though.
Yeah.
So, finally, we get to part 3. Alex and Nathan are just happy that she's gone. Sorry, I forget to say, Josie leaves. And it's, like, a very, like, quaint night. She has a great time. She says it's, like, one of the best nights of her life.
Yay.
Yep. And so Alex and Nathan are just happy she's gone. Since Alex's sisters are coming in town, she needs Nathan out, but she's like, please be home by midnight. Like, please, like, I'll have sex with you. Like, please just be home by midnight. And Josie hires Caitlin, we find out, to keep Nathan out past midnight, and like plants that bag of all the stuff that she finds in his clothing pockets and puts like a phone number too in there.
I love how she adds the name Daisy to the phone number.
I know.
Which was ingenious. Like, I was like, wow. That was actually really smart. But one thing that made me be like, is like, why did they never call that number? Like, whose number was that?
Great question. Okay. I wouldn't have called it, to be honest.
I wouldn't call it. Who are you? Who is this?
Daisy? And she leaves it like in the closet for Alex to find when she knows like she's gonna be worried. And
I mean, she's crafty, if nothing else. Like,
oh yeah,
really.
She's smart. She's smart. Alex is furious that he's gone, but like also kind of worried. She messages and calls his friend Giovanni multiple times, but he says he doesn't know anything until finally like she shows up at his house and is like, what actually is happening? And he says there was a girl. And she's like, I'm very disappointed in you. That was the vibes I was getting when she said
that part made me laugh. I was like, Alex? I was like, just let this man live his life.
I know. He's just trying to be a good friend.
I mean, like, I know. Like, I mean, he seems like we don't hear anything about it. Doesn't even matter about Giovanni. No offense, Giovanni, but like, it just seems like he was doing his best. Like,
yeah, he didn't know what to do.
He probably should have told her, but like,
yeah.
Anyway,
because it wasn't like he was actively flirting with her. He's never gone home with a girl before previously.
Exactly.
Yeah, so he like didn't really think anything of it.
Exactly.
Someone calls Alex and she's relieved that it might be Nathan, but it's someone from the hotel that he was staying at saying that the room was trashed. And so she goes down there to like see the damage and pay for it. And she sees a thong and some blood and just like the totally wrecked room. And they look through the CCTV footage and find him coming in with Caitlin and then leaving. And that's like the part from the prologue, looking into the car expectantly and, you know, expecting to see his wife, and then it's not his wife, it's Josie. And he doesn't want to get in, but she says like, I'll take you to your wife, I have coffee and water, just get in the car, kind of thing. And Alex takes the license plate number and sees the girl with scratches on her face, and we later find out that the car and credit card are under Erin Fair, which is Josie's daughter. Sketchy.
Which it's important to mention that earlier when Alex and Josie are like starting their podcast journey or whatever, and not on the podcast, but just when they were talking in general, Josie asks Alex like, well, how would you feel if Nathan wasn't here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how would you view your life like if he was not your husband?
Yeah, and she's just like sad, and that was not the answer Josie was looking for.
No, ma'am. No, it was not.
So back to the Netflix documentary, Caitlin thinks that she's doing all this just to help prove to Josie's friend that the husband will sleep with anyone. So she just had to get him up to the hotel room so that the friend could believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I mean, sure, whatever. She's getting paid $1,000 to do it.
That's a good amount. That's a
good. Someone calls and the police make a welfare check on Josie's family, and we find Walter bound and dead in the bathtub, and Erin was tied to a chair and beaten, but not dead, and is now in a coma.
Which is crazy. Like, the fact, because Josie was staying in Alex's home for a week. So Erin had been in that closet for an entire 7 days, like just beaten and bound to the chair. Crazy though.
So weird. The police find all of the trinkets from her house, like in her underwear drawer that Josie was stealing, and it wasn't just Alex's. It was also some things from Brooke and just like some that they from other people. Alex remembers the bloody key under Josie's mattress and brings it up.
Right. Why did Josie do that? Why did she leave the key under the mattress? I didn't understand that.
I have a theory.
Okay.
But I want to finish this.
Okay,
and then,
go for it.
So, because mine makes more sense once you have like everything.
Okay.
In the Netflix documentary, Caitlin was saying Nathan kept asking for Alex and was extremely angry when Caitlin wouldn't let him out, and he accidentally like hit her in the face. Like he was just like kind of ripping up everything in his drunken state and like accidentally hits her in the face, and she knows that he didn't mean to hurt her. She was like fine with it, but it was just a red herring, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Roxy is called in since her dad died and her mom is missing and the suspect in the murder, and she says that she wants to talk to Alex. So we learn Aaron has $40,000 from live streaming. Roxy can't believe anything that the police are telling her. They're saying that Walter molested Aaron every night, and she's like, no, he like leaves the bed to go game with her. Like that's why she's so popular, because it was Erased and Pops. Like
it was like a duo.
Yeah. Like he would do commentary on it. And so finally she meets with Alex, and Roxy records 4 hours of testimony for the now realized true crime podcast that Alex is making. We learn Brooke and Roxy were actually dating. The school suspended her for punching Brooke because she heard a rumor that Brooke used like a negative word against her sister, and she just left. Like just poof. She always hoped Brooke would, come find her.
Mm-hmm.
But she just disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
Josie's mom calls to say that she also wants to be on the pod to explain it all, now that she's like heard from Roxy kind of what everything's going on. So in the Netflix documentary, we hear from Pat. She tried to let Josie be independent as a child, but she was just always really aggressive. She would leave voodoo dolls of the men her mom was dating out in the flat, like for them to see.
Yikes.
Unhinged.
Yikes. That's terrifying.
And then she started dating Walter, which for me, like I put literally like, what the fuck? I kind of saw this coming, but like also like, what the fuck? Because
yeah, I mean, I guess like from what we were talking about earlier, like the fact that people were saying that like Josie had a hand in like her relationship with Walter at the beginning, I can see this aspect like lending truth to that. Like the fact that she saw her mom dating Walter, and was like, let me swoop in here.
Yeah.
If that's the case. But still, he's a grown-ass man.
He should have just not let any of that happen.
Exactly.
But like I believe that Josie was the one who was like wearing her mom's makeup, and like it says she was hesitant but then became interested in him, like wearing her makeup and saying disparaging things about her mom to him.
That's another really important thing, is that like when there's a lot about Josie's appearance, right, that is talked about in the book. So like in this part we're talking about how Josie was wearing like her mom's makeup, like especially when Walter was around, but also when she was living with Alex and Nathan at that time, like she would wear Alex's makeup. Yeah. And she only wore the one outfit that Alex lent her to borrow, even though her clothes were clean and like washed by Alex. She would still just wear the one outfit that Alex had.
Yeah.
Blah.
Yeah. They finally told Pat that they were together on, I think, her 18th birthday. She was horrified, and she was also horrified that she like didn't know, but it was also because she just like didn't care about her daughter really, because she was really scary.
Yeah, like she
bad
was
parenting.
Saying, just so bad parenting. She was saying that like, yeah, I mean like, was it terrible? Meh. At least Josie wasn't in my house anymore. Like that's essentially what she was saying, which is so disgusting.
So gross.
She should go to jail.
She should go to jail. Alex thinks Josie planned like everything from the very beginning, like had all of this set in stone, like from the first time that she met her, and that Nathan's dead. Alex is like freaking out about this and like re-listens to some of the podcast, and then at the same time like breaks to a Netflix documentary piece. So it's Josie telling Alex about the clean break from the first podcast that Alex was just talking about, that she listened to and realized she was telling her like her plan from the beginning. Death equals clean break.
Mm-hmm.
So she calls the detective who tells her to come to the Lake District. So we go to the Netflix documentary. Josie was telling her about the clean break from the first podcast that she listened to, and she's realizing that she was telling her, like, from the beginning, her plan, like, essentially was to kill her husband. In present day, she calls the detective who tells her to come to the Lake District. They think that her husband is in the lake.
This was a big problem with me in this book. Like, this was a big problem, is the fact that Nathan died.
I respected that he died.
You respected it.
Yeah.
Do tell.
You don't see that happen a lot. And so I was just glad that she had the balls to do it.
Yeah. I wanted something to be redeeming.
I was
not in the writing, but in the story. Like, I wanted there to be a redeeming factor.
I totally see what you mean. Like, I would have loved for Nathan to live. Like, he was maybe like one of the good characters only in this book.
Yeah.
But I really respected Jewel for killing him,
like,
honestly.
Going through with it. Yeah, because, I mean,
it just doesn't happen.
Where we are in the book with who we are, it made sense that he died, of course. But.
And so we moved to a news clip where the body of Nathan was found, but Josie is still missing. So then there's this voice message from Josie telling her, like, don't believe anything tells you. And I'm like, ma'am.
Josie, you literally just murdered this girl's husband.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like, she was so silly to me.
She was very silly, yeah.
She was so silly to me. I was like, you're being ridiculous. Like, the fact that in Josie's mind, she could even have any type of conversation with Alex at all at this point is insane.
Yeah.
Insanity.
So Alex has several very touching monologues throughout this, like, the end of the book, but this was the one that I liked. Her husband is out there somewhere, and she's about to find out where, and she loves him so much and hates herself so much for bringing that woman into their world, their messy, grubby, broken, and perfectly imperfect world, the world she thought that she didn't want, but which she now knows is the only thing she truly wants. Her family, her home, her bad husband, his vendors, the desperate and glorious, ridiculous normality of it all.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, she really did have it so good.
So good.
She really did have it so good. And, like, yeah, was his benders messy? And, like, yeah, did he probably need help with that? Yeah, but, like, I don't know. We find out later that he had, like, this really kind of sad history.
Yeah.
So, like, it makes sense why he was doing it. But, like, I don't know. To me, the biggest problem I had with Alex is the fact that she wasn't taking what she had and was being like, thank fucking God I have it. Like,
yeah,
she was, like I said, like, radiating. It was giving off, like, boring house.
Yeah,
housewife.
I mean, that's what she was.
And just, I don't know, wanted some spice in her life and
did
invited
it a
Josie
podcast
in.
for fun.
Yeah. Like,
that was her job, was podcasting.
Which, ideally, that would be my job.
Yes, same.
No shade on that, but I'm saying, like, I don't know. Like, throw yourself into your kids. Throw yourself into, like, your husband. Like, why aren't you trying to get him help if he is going on these benders? Like,
she didn't take anything seriously,
it felt like. Anything seriously. And I'm like, anyway.
So Erin wakes up from the coma.
Ooh.
They also find Brooke in the back of their car in the garage. She's still in her white prom dress from the last night that she was seen.
How did they find Brooke in there?
The key.
Yeah, okay.
Which is, yeah. So you
want to go into your theory now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
Because she left the key under Alex's guest bedroom mattress, and it had blood on it.
I think that was her way of saying, listen to me. Like, this is, like, I, like, in the last chapter, we'll learn, like, in her mind, she was helping her daughter.
Yeah.
And this was her trying to say, like, I still am trying to do that.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it. I don't know.
I can see that now. Now that you just said that, like, maybe it was also, like, her way of, like, informing someone of what happened.
Yeah.
Like, you need to pay attention to this. Because, like, I mean, she was going off on Walter, like, okay, well, I'm going to tell Alex. Like, I'm going to tell her everything. Like, you know.
And so we'll go into this, like, big part here, but I just don't believe a lot of it. What Aaron says.
Well, no. Mm-mm.
Because especially when you look back at when Josie was telling Walter was like, we will go to jail. Like, not you, not me, we.
Yeah.
And so that's how I was kind of like, well, who do we believe?
Yeah. I mean, none of it is true, apparently.
So we're interviewing Aaron for the Netflix documentary, and it's like, I mean, like pages of this. But the summary is, you know, Mom didn't want Dad to like us. She wanted to be the center of everyone's world. She didn't really understand, like, Roxy's defiance and took her out of school when she accidentally broke Aaron's arm. Which was, the way she described it was not accidental.
No, babe. I'm sorry. You don't accidentally break somebody's arm.
No.
I don't know if that's some weird, like, we're in a such a shitty situation that, like, sisters gotta stay sisters and, like, have each other's back no matter what shit. I don't know if it's that or just, like, mental illness, but, like, no. Like, that, you can't say that, like, your sister accidentally broke your bone. Like, And the way she said it was, like, so insensitive. She's like, it's, like, actually a funny story. Like, it was an accident. Like, no.
But the way she described it was, like, it was an accident. She, like, she did it purposefully, but, like, it wasn't malicious.
Like, what does that mean?
That's not an accident.
Like, what, she was just for funsies was, like, breaking your bones? Like,
One night their dad was walking by and heard her online gaming, and he walked in and watched her, and that's how they became, like, erased and pops for their gaming. They all loved his commentary. He was part of the reason why she became so famous. She talks about how Brooke came over and explicitly said, like, Roxy was away in Bristol. She wasn't part of this. And Josie says, you're the reason she's gone. And Brooke says, no, I loved her. It's your fault. And Josie just snaps and kills her, apparently. Erin never leaves her room again since then, and finally tells her dad what happens about, like, a year before he dies. So essentially 4 years after it happens, and nothing happens. Nothing comes of it.
It's just wild that all these people were, like, either doing or seeing all this crazy shit, and we're just like, okay. Like,
yeah, it's fine.
Let's go back to our life. Like, what?
Let's pretend none of it happens. So the night of Walter's murder, they come in from the party around whatever 10, and Josie goes off about how he's an embarrassment and a pedophile and abuses his own daughter, and Walter just takes it like he always does and says, you're mad. She snaps. She does not like people calling her names. And she attacks him, and he has a heart attack while that's happening. And Erin runs in and tries to call the ambulance, but she's like, no, it's fine. The ambulance is on its way. I already called it.
God.
And then Erin starts to attack Josie, and she just takes it until finally she, like, pushes her back, and Erin doesn't remember anything after that, just that she was tied up in the chair and her dad was dead.
She survives that week by sucking on a dirty mop.
That's also true. I did forget about that. Very gross.
For the whole week, apparently, she was sucking on the dirty water of a mop in the closet, which that was just so... It made me cringe so hard, and it was, like, also unnecessary, but good that Jewel put that in there. Like,
see, I don't know that Josie did it.
What do you mean? Like, tying Erin up?
Yeah. I think there was a kerfuffle that I don't know what happened in this kerfuffle, but I think Erin put herself in that chair.
For the week?
Mm-hmm.
For why? What would be her reasoning?
To blame Josie. So, like, she could get out and go get food, and then she was the one who, like, called on the welfare check to get people to come. And then tied herself up.
Maybe.
It doesn't actually make sense because she was in a coma, so never mind.
Yeah, I was like...
But I'm still convinced.
No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. But, like, I don't know. This is my whole thing with the book. Like, this story only works and would be genius if there's a second book.
Exactly.
If this is just a one-off, yeah.
So we get to part 4. 4 weeks later, it's Nathan's funeral. Alex realizes that his drinking was just a self-medication for like this really shitty life that he's had. And he just didn't want Alex to see him drunk in that way. So nearly 300 people attended his funeral, and Josie is still missing. So we go back to the Netflix documentary, and it's Alex realizing that she needed to make an income for her kids now that the like pandemic is hitting. And she sat down to make the podcast with all of the recordings, the news clips, the phone calls, like everything. And she recruited a true crime podcaster to help edit her. And then Caitlin messages her and says, "Hey, I want to speak to you." Caitlin apologizes, not realizing that she had such a big role in all of this, and feels awful about it. She tells Alex that he was a really great guy and he really cared for Alex and his kids. All he really wanted to do was just to get home to her. She explains what Josie had told her, about trying to help a friend realize that her man sleeps around. So she thought she was helping Alex, and she just feels really bad. And Alex's closing statements of her podcast, she has a whole bunch of stuff, but like the end is, "So Josie Fair, if you're out there somewhere listening, know this. Your fight is yours and yours alone. Do not claim to be fighting on someone's behalf. Do not claim that you are a victim. Do not claim that you are anything other than what you are, an evil motherfucking basic bitch."
Roll my eyes. I don't know. That just screamed to me like Alex wanting to have the last word. Like,
oh yeah,
you know what? Like, you're a basic bitch. Like, come up with a better insult.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So she finally gets back all of the things that Josie stole from her, except her bumblebee necklace, which Josie is still wearing, we find out.
Which, how did she get that?
I'm assuming she snuck in, like, in the middle of the night and took it from her, like, sink or something.
Oh, my God.
Very weird. Netflix documentary interview is, which I thought this was really funny, is that technically Josie has the last word because she sends the text and that's the last thing on the podcast.
I mean, yeah, like.
So she's texting Alex, like, "I thought we had something special. I thought we were connected. You believed all of their lies and you turned my story into like a tacky true crime bullshit thing." She says she didn't mean to kill Nathan, and she's tried to explain that to her before. She says fate already brought them together, and it probably will again. And also send love to her children.
Josie, shut your mouth. Like, seriously? Like, you need to stop because those children were creeped the fuck out.
Oh, yeah.
And it was strange that at one point Josie goes out to specifically mention Alex's son.
Yeah. She's like, "I really left Leon." Okay.
Huh?
Creeper. And she hasn't heard from Josie's sons. So, what do you think? Do you think that she meant to kill Nathan?
I'm going to say no, because why, if her intent was to kill Nathan, why didn't she just do it at the hotel?
Yeah.
She didn't have to take him to like the Lake District and like hold him hostage and like do all that weird shit.
That's
like,
a good point.
You know, because like,
what would she have gotten from it?
Exactly. Like, I mean, she would have gotten the fact that like Alex has to realize her life without Nathan, which is what she wanted. Like, she wanted her and Alex to be like
buddies,
banded together in this like, yeah, we're like independent women free from like our shitty husbands type thing. But like, I don't know. I don't think if she did mean to kill Nathan, I don't think she meant to do it in that way. I think she meant to like, either she did not really mean to do it, or she did mean to do it, but in a different way. And she wanted to drag it out before then. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think.
What about you?
I don't think she meant to kill anyone.
You don't think she meant to kill like Walter and none of that?
Because she didn't technically kill Walter. He had a heart attack.
Yeah.
And that started because she fucking hit him.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm that's why I'm so confused about this Aaron piece.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't fit the story I have in my head of how like this all falls together. Which is why I really want there to be a second book about like Alex and Roxy and their friendship and how Roxy's the crazy one.
Yeah, because like, well, my thing is like, what would be Aaron's stake in the whole thing? Like, what, just protecting Roxy?
Yeah, I mean, she's a vulnerable person who's autistic, so she doesn't know necessarily people's intentions. And so she might have allegiance to Roxy because that's her sister, and Roxy could just be controlling her.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't know. I still wish that Nathan had not died. I understand that it works for the story, but I just wanted there to be a redeeming factor.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So we get to the last part, which is what literally made me give it 3 stars. Like, this chapter alone is why I liked this book enough. It made the book likable. So it's 16 months later. It's March 2022. She overhears people on the bus talking about the case. And
this is Josie.
Josie, yes, sorry. And someone says, like, all of it felt sketchy to me. If it was like that Josie woman, that she wasn't the only one telling lies, you know, there was more to it, I think, which I think we all agree.
Yeah.
She reflects on all of the, quote, truths and untruths that she will never, ever be able to unravel. But there is one thing that she's most certain is true, and thinks it's true and hopes it's true because it's what defines her. So she comes home and Roxy is crying over Brooke's dead body, saying she didn't mean to, and what are we going to do? And so Josie calls Walter and walks them through how to, like, get rid of her body, put it in the car. And as Roxy is leaving, she hatefully says, if you tell anyone, I'll just say it was you. Which, whew. And she's so sure that this is the truth. She really is just, like, hoping that it's the truth, because if it isn't, then, like, everything that she's ever done is, like, for naught. She says she wasn't a good mother, but she did what any mother would have done, you know, to protect her daughter, to keep her safe. Quote, all she has done in her own way is take care of the people she loves, try to help people, try to be a good person.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think she sees it that way.
She definitely sees it that way. I can give her credit, I guess, for wanting to, like, stand by her family.
Yeah.
Like, I think that part is, like, at least believable. But, you know, Josie's not a good person. Like, no. She's delusional.
Yeah,
is what she is. And, like, I don't know. I mean, what do you think about all of that?
Like I said, I need a sequel of...
Yeah.
Like I said, I think there should be a second book with Alex and Roxy proving that, like, she's the bad one, that, like, it wasn't Josie she should have been scared of, it was Roxy.
Well, yeah, and I mean, honestly, the way Jewell sets it up, it's like, I hope there is a second book, because not Roxy, Josie's still out there.
Yeah, she's just hanging
out, and, like, even the police say, like, what she took, and that's another thing we forgot to mention, but she basically took 10,000 pounds of Aaron's money and, like, ran away with it.
Yeah.
So even the police were saying, like, you know, that can't last forever. Yeah, it can't last forever. So eventually she's going to need to, like, come up to the surface and, like, I don't know, hopefully they catch her. So I want there to be a second book. I want there to be more to the story. Because, again, if it's just one, it's not.
It leaves, like, you're so unsatisfied.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be genius if she did a second book, though.
I think so. There's a lot to be, like, dissected from this book, and it's honestly just hard to, like, what is true? I don't know. Like, I've kind of tried to tell you what I think's happening, but
well, we will never know unless there's a second book. Like, we will never know.
And
which I guess is,
I don't know if that's the point.
Maybe that's her point. Maybe that's what she's saying. Like, none of this is true, so you can't believe any sides of the story or whatever, but
I just think it would be very genius if she had a second book called All of This Is True.
Yeah, that would be cute.
Jewell, hire me.
Listen to this podcast. Take some advice.
Hey, I will say on my Bookstagram, I did a review on a book and the author followed me and now she, like, likes my posts and stuff. It's very cute.
That. Okay, good.
So Allie Larkin, she did The People We Keep. Very good book. Definitely recommend it.
Shout out to Allie.
Yeah. Oh. Thanks for following. Hope you listen to the podcast. But so I'll wrap up this by saying, following with my little Taylor Swift song for each book is I Did Something Bad by Taylor Swift on the Reputation album. So what did you rate it, Alex?
I rated this a 3 out of 5.
Okay.
So decent, not the best, definitely better than It Girl. God.
Yeah.
Damn,
well, I saw on Goodreads you had it at a 2. So did you?
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Maybe I did rate it as 2. Whoopsie.
Okay.
So I give this a 2 out of 5.
I think you give it a 2.5 out of 5 because
Yeah,
it
there
was
we
definitely
go.
better than
It was definitely
It
better
Girl.
than It Girl, no doubt. Yeah, so I would say somewhere between a 2 and a 3, leaning towards 3, because I liked the ideas of it a lot better than It Girl. And I mean, I'm not saying that we need to compare every thriller to It Girl.
No,
it's just
no.
that It Girl was so bad.
It was like funny.
It was funny bad. Yeah, it was like comedically bad. But
sorry, Ruth.
I'm sure your other works are great, and like, you know, I'm proud of you for even like publishing books at all. So like,
yeah, honestly,
sorry,
better
but
than us.
what was I gonna say? So, but that's the only other thriller that we've covered on this podcast.
Yeah.
So it's easy to compare each thriller to each thriller,
Like each genre book to each.
Yeah.
Genre. Yeah, I will say that I did read, or I listened to Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell, and I did not like it. I gave it a 2 out of 5. But, I mean, so many people gave this book 5 out of 5, and so many people gave Then She Was Gone 5 out of 5. So I think
I don't understand. Like,
I think we just have it, like, we just like different things than the typical thriller.
yeah,
liker.
I think a lot of people, because like, I'm looking at the reviews right now on Goodreads. There's 78,000 people that have reviewed this. Okay. And it literally has a 4.25 star. And like, I don't know. Like, people are just raving about it. Like, they're saying like this was chilling and dark and twisting and mind-bending and riveting. And I'm like, I just didn't get that.
I wasn't scared. I've read YA books that I was scared to read.
Yeah.
Like, this was not scary.
Deep YA. Yeah. So in that sense, like, no, I did not find this book to be good. I thought the ideas were great. Like, the foundation of the book was excellent. Like, the podcast, the parallels between the women.
The writing.
Like, the
really
writing
enjoyed.
was good, you know? Thrillers are so hard to execute, and I don't blame Jewel for, like, this one, like, in my opinion, not hitting the mark.
Bluffing, yeah.
And that's okay.
Not everyone can be a banger.
Yeah.
So, I do recommend this book, I think, if you're looking for a fun little mystery. The layout was unique. It had the podcast piece. It had a pandemic piece. You know, you don't get a lot of pandemic books, so that's fun. But if you liked this or you were wanting something different, I have a couple recommendations for you. So, The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pickanson. I gave that book 4 stars. I was very good. It's kind of like, you know, this stereotypical like golden couple and have secrets. Then The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. That she's really funny.
I've seen that. That one's good.
I think I gave it 3 stars.
Oh,
that's not bad.
If it's not a 4 or a 5, it's bad to me. But you rate differently than I do.
Yeah, we rate differently.
And that's okay.
Yeah. So I didn't enjoy it. I didn't hate it, is what I was saying. I thought it was a good mystery, and I'll leave it at that. And then also A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham.
I'm going to read that.
Oh, you are?
I picked it from my book of the month, like 2 months ago.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it is a book of the month. It was also, I'm pretty sure, one of 2022, like, best book of the year.
I'm excited to read that.
Still gave it a 3 out of 5 stars.
Shit. Okay, wow.
But it's a good, I mean, I listened to it on audio, and audio is just such a, like, hit or miss sometimes. So that could also be the reason why I didn't like The Perfect Marriage as much either.
Yeah.
I both really liked them. So I think if you are looking for a mystery thriller, you know, all of them are good. That's why I'm putting them on here. A Flicker in the Dark, I actually was scared. I also was listening to it.
Ooh.
We were in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. And so we were like in a cabin, and I was like,
oh, that's good. That's like a good setting. Yeah.
I actually think you might like A Flicker in the Dark.
Okay, cool.
And then if you're looking more for like a YA thriller for your October reads, I have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series by Holly Jackson. I really liked those. I gave them, most of them I think I gave 4 out of 5 stars. And the third one was actually like, I was actually scared. I had to stop reading.
Ooh.
And if you're looking for more of like a mystery, but like not scary at all, it's also a YA series called The Inheritance Game series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. There's 3 of them.
I've heard that's good.
I gave them 5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I've heard that's good.
So there's a series called Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. These also are YA. They're kind of like, she's at like a boarding school for like really smart people and like who have really niche interests, and she's into true crime. And so she like is trying to solve the mystery of like the murder that happened 100 years ago on this campus.
That's cool.
And it's 3 of them are about that murder, and then the 4th one is just like someone else hires her, and then the 5th one just came out and I haven't read it, but it's a really good series. I think I gave them all like 4 stars. So that one also kind of gave me like little sleepy time jitters.
Okay.
But a lot of really good mysteries. So
yay.
Hope you find something you like.
All good recommendations.
Do you have anything else to say?
We will continue this month with spooky themed books.
Speaking of,
our next book will be Vampire of El Norte by Isabel Cañas.
Yay!
Woo!
I'm
Which
excited.
I picked this book, so I'm really
yeah,
excited.
It's our first horror.
Yeah.
And
horror romance.
I got it on Book of the Month. So
I also got it on Book of the Month.
I'm excited.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm going to start reading it probably today.
Yay! Me too. I hope it's good.
I'm sure. Hopefully. Because we've
been having a rough time with
have.
these.
So email us at goatpod@gmail.com with suggestions of book recommendations. Or just if you're like, hey, I'm looking for this kind of book. Obviously, I have a ton of ammunition in my repertoire. Didn't make sense at all. But
nope, it does.
Check us out on our social medias. We're at GoatPod, Instagram, TikTok. All the good ones are taken on Facebook. You can follow my Bookstagram at PeasReads. Follow us on Goodreads. We are so excited and thankful for you listening to us. We have such a fun time doing this. So, keep supporting.
It is truly such a joy. We have a good time, and we hope you have a good time listening.
We hope so.
Yeah. So give us a comment saying so.
Like, comment, subscribe, share.
For real, though.
Pleasantly.
Pleasantly,
Also,
please.
Come to us. We'll get you a sticker if you ask.
Yeah.
I've been passing them out to my coworkers.
I've been pinning them on boards secretly in restaurants and in my gym.
Oh, fun. Yeah, all of my coworkers have been putting them on the back of their phones.
That's cute.
And one of my coworkers, shout out Ethan if you're listening, he was like, my girlfriend really wants one. And so now she has one like on the middle of her laptop.
I love that.
And I've never even met her, so it's like fun.
Shout out to her. Okay, good.
Yay, Ethan's girlfriend.
So thank y'all so much for listening, for all your support. And
this has been All the Good Ones Are Taken.
Yay!